Ahead to 1 minute 2 seconds for the show. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm sorry we did take a break. I had to take a break. I just had to try and get things in order. But I am back now and I'm going to be big and strong. Thank you again for Glow Mama UK Awards. I didn't win, but I will win next year. I've got my eyes on the prize. And congratulations to one of my lovely ladies who is a listener. She had a little baby girl. Now we are back. No more hiatus, no more breaks. This is it. We are coming back big, hard, strong. This week, it's a very, very controversial topic. I actually had to think twice about putting it out because I was a bit worried about my thoughts on the subject, but also the thoughts of other people on the panel on the subject. But this was a very honest conversation. This was a very real conversation. And I think it's important for us to kind of start having these conversations, actually. I would love to know what your feedback is. So please do comment, do like, do subscribe. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Four Wives and a Mic. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nikki and my lovely, gorgeous mummy's here today. Hi. So on my right, I've got
KK, aka unclassified mummy.
She's very shy and coy.
She's pretending to be.
Exactly, pretending. When we get into the juicy gossip. And then to my left, we've got.
Hi everyone, I'm Samira. I'm a content creator. I have a YouTube channel called Strolling with Samira.
And it's very good. It's actually how we connected with each other the first time.
It is.
Some really, really interesting stories. She's got one of the ones that Rita, I'm not going to tell you. So do go check it out, subscribe, like, and everything else, okay? And then to the Holly.
I'm Temi and I am I created firsttimemom.com, and it's just like an online community of new moms where we just kind of share our experiences and, advise and support each other. So yeah.
So it's all very good. It's basically one big community. So yes. Also, I will have the link for firsttimemums.com and please follow Unclassified Mummy. Now let's get into this, shall we?
I'm ready.
So this one's actually a little bit. It could get controversial.
Yeah.
Are we ready for this?
Oh gosh.
When is a good time to talk to kids about sex?
It's a tricky question because it's like you want to talk to them soon about it because we're aware as parents now about sex, being everywhere, but also the fact that of course there's pedophiles and people that we are protecting our children from, and it's like you want them to have that knowledge as soon as possible so that they can know that this is happening. They can come to you if God forbid anything, but at the same time, one of the best things about children is that innocence, right? Just that naivety to the evil and the things in the world. Sex is not evil. I'm not one of those people that believe sex is a bad thing, but of course it's just like we do have an obligation to protect our children and give them the right information. But I thought I was answering the question, but I don't know. That's the answer, because like you want to tell them soon enough, but at the same time you don't want to tell them too soon for it to be like where they're like confused and scared, or like they just don't get it. So I guess I don't know. It's just is there one age that everyone is ready?
I think it depends on the child.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, not too young, but I think it does depend on the child, because there's some children that are just a lot more inquisitive and maybe are exposed to certain things earlier than they should be by not the parents themselves, but maybe other family members or friends' house or something, that if they come to you at a certain age, even if you think they're too young to know about it, maybe because of what they've seen, you have a duty to explain it to them so that they get it the right way, if that makes sense. So I think it depends on the specific child, the specific family, the specific situation. However, I definitely do think that it shouldn't be too young, because like you said to me, there is an innocence that you don't want to corrupt, and you don't want to awaken something that they're not ready for, that their minds are not ready to digest and process the right way. So For me,
But I mean, sorry, go on.
sorry. For me, I haven't spoken to my son about sex. He's only 4, but I have kind of said, okay, well, this is your private part, and nobody's allowed to touch it, and except mummy and daddy or nanny or grandma.
I was like, what? Except mummy and daddy. But yeah, of course.
Not in that way, of course.
I know.
But yeah, just I'm trying to get him to understand so that if anything, God forbid, did happen, he would know that
That's
mummy
not
said that
right.
this shouldn't happen. But sex itself, hell no, not for now, not for a long time, because I think I will find ways to, if I see certain things in him, I will find ways to introduce the idea of, you know, man and woman getting together. But in terms of sex itself, I think that's going to come at a much later stage. Yeah.
I've got a question though. Sorry, I always ask questions. We're talking to children about sex, but I think for me, it's once children start to notice their genitalia, their private bits, masturbation comes into it. And like you ladies were saying, with every child it's sort of different with different age groups, how they're developing and what they see around them, etc. And children are curious, they want to know what's what, and they see their bits. Boys will start to get their morning erections, etc. Girls will just be curious and want to know what's down there. Like, how do you broach that subject? Because I think that's almost kind of the step before sex. And I mean, for me, my little girl, her cousin is 6 weeks younger than her. So they often bath together, they're naked together, they're running around. And she's just inquisitive. So she will say, Mummy, he's got a tail, he's a boy, and I've got a butt. And it's difficult for me now because she's only 2.5, but actually she's noticing that there are differences. And she wants to know more. But then when do I and how do I even like discuss that with her? So I guess my question is, how do you broach masturbation and genitalia before you even think about it?
Because I mean, even in the topic of masturbation, genitalia, I mean, you might not call it masturbation, but I know as young as a couple of months, not even a couple of months, but as young as before first birthday, kids are playing with themselves. Might not necessarily be in terms of to get an orgasm, but it feels good. It feels good to them and it's pleasurable, and they play with themselves, they play with their private parts, both boys and girls. And I guess on some level that is a form of masturbation. So then do you talk about that then? Do you say, but then, you know, because on the other hand, you don't want to scare them from their private. You want to say, don't touch it, don't, you know. But then you don't want to necessarily encourage it so that they're doing it wherever, whenever, with whoever. So then how do you actually approach that topic, you know?
I think the first thing as well, actually there's another question, if that adds to the complexity of everything we're already saying. But there's also the question of, you know, the private parts, naming the private parts. So throughout all our antenatal classes and things I've been reading about, you know, protecting your child from, you know, sex abuse and things like that, it's always been, as soon as they can talk, whatever, let them know their private parts are penis and vagina. Now, for me, I find that really hard because I'm like, I mean, my son is only 1, he can't talk yet. But when he does, I mean, I refer to it as Wawa because that's what my little brothers, my mom referred to my little brothers. It just stayed with me. Oh, you know, Wawa. I can't imagine a scenario where I'm gonna say to him,
"Oh, your vagina,
it's penis."
Oh, your penis.
No,
because when
your
he may
penis.
then go and repeat it at nursery or something, and then it's like it's a bit serious. But then professionals out there say, you know, it's serious only because of, you know, we know the connotation and what we've projected onto it. But it's important that they know, because if there is a case where they are getting hurt and someone else is calling it something else, there's no confusion. It's vagina and it's penis, and it's like those things. I'm struggling with that. Before I was like, yeah, I'll probably be fine, I'll just say that. But now, as I'm actually a mother,
I mean, I completely understand that thinking and that thought process in terms of, this is your arm, we call it the arm. This is your leg, we call it the leg. And did someone kick your leg? Okay. Did someone touch your vagina? But I don't know, I think it's different because it's not such a big deal if I was to touch your arm. It's not such a big deal if I was to touch your nose. So my arm, my nose. But if I was to touch your vagina, it is different. There is a whole other thing to it, because I can imagine her going around saying, because she's just repeating words right now. She's just repeating because she's learning. And she's now going to nursery saying, vagina, vagina.
They're going to think
vagina.
something's wrong.
But now cleaning your napkin is vagina, vagina. my vagina. You know, like,
Yeah, it's serious.
How do you explain that?
But they
About
may
things
worry.
like breasts. So my child, I mean, I don't walk around naked, but that's just my preference. But my family, that's them. And so she'll say tit tit, or she'll say boobie. And I guess with breasts, there's lots of different ways that you can say it as well. And again, yes, it is kind of sexualized, but not so much in children because they don't really have breasts.
Yeah.
But then, what about that term? So then, do
Can
we
I
have
just
to
ask,
stick?
what do you have, any of you have girls? You have a girl.
I have a girl.
What do you refer to?
Toto.
I don't know what to call it.
It's front butt and back butt. But that's her. Yeah, but that's her. That's how she's named
But that's how
it.
she's named
Yeah.
it. I call her Toto.
Toto.
Yeah.
Why? How? What?
Where's your Toto? She's like, Toto.
Really?
Is that?
Where's your bum bum? She's like, bum bum.
Why? Is that Yoruba or?
No, it's not Yoruba. I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
In pidgin, like when people joke.
Is,
about
Yeah, they
oh,
do
is
say
it, is it
Toto.
also, yes, it is your, yeah. It's not
I've had a weird. I just had a flashback of a Toto conversation. I'm not gonna share that on air.
You know how it's funny when you just pick things up when you
Toto.
just, but
Yeah.
just call it
Yeah.
Toto. But at the moment she's a bit confused because obviously just above your Toto is your tummy.
Okay.
So she's like, tummy. I'm like, no, that's your Toto. Oh, Toto. No, that's your tummy. Oh, tummy. So we're like, yeah.
What about son? Do you have a?
Yeah,
what would you-
I have a son. I've never actually had to say it to him yet. I mean, he's not
Pee-pee.
talking, but I do refer to it as Wawa, as
Oh
I
yeah, you said yeah.
Wawa. But I mean, I feel like that term needs to change.
Wawa.
I'm probably,
Scared.
speaking of my nephew, I'll probably only call it his pee-pee. Because that's where your pee comes out from.
Yeah, it
Pee
makes
for
sense.
penis.
Just say Willy.
Your
Yeah.
Willy. Oh, I used to say Tinky Winky.
Yeah.
All sorts of names.
Oh, don't touch your Tinky Winky.
I can't imagine saying penis or
Penis,
vagina.
Yeah, I know. It sounds so serious, but at the same time, I feel like why else would they advise us to do that? Every sexual health professional, everyone who's tried, every talk I've been to about sexual abuse, it's always the same advice. Make sure your children know the right time. I still don't know why. I still don't know why exactly that's so important. But that's just one thing
that
I've
makes
heard.
sense. That does
No,
make
it does
sense.
make sense. I
Yeah.
think just practically, because we have all of those preconceived notions and, it's so heavy with context that
Yeah.
I would find it so hard to
Scary,
put that onto my child because regardless of whether I'm trying to, take away all the stigma attached to it, it's still attached to it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to have to deal with that a very uncomfortable, conversation with the
Yeah.
nursery
Yeah.
or any other stranger to the family. Even
Yeah.
my family probably wouldn't understand it. Her grandma would be like, what are you telling this child?
Exactly.
What are you doing to my baby? She'll be
Yeah.
like absolutely,
Confused.
confused and off. Oh no,
The thing is, it is a bit sad that we, as adults, we lose that innocence and we are aware of, all the connotations to certain words. But that's just the reality that we're not children. We don't see everything as pure and as innocent. So we're gonna have those,
Difficult.
perceptions. But I think as well, I lost my train of thought.
But what you've actually triggered in me is, with some of us, it's experience as well. A lot of people do face abuse within the family.
Definitely.
Sexual abuse.
100%.
Yeah, so I don't, for me, I'm very, very careful with, the family members that I have around my child. And then, because I just don't, because I know what I've experienced. I know what it is, what I've come from, I know what I've seen, and I just don't want that mistake to happen ever with my child. Lord knows I'll kill someone. So for me, and I just wouldn't want to necessarily, I'm not saying that it's necessarily encouraging it, but I just would want to be very careful about what she's saying to who and who she's around as well. So having her kind of go around saying vagina, it's like, oh, let's see your vagina. And, I just wouldn't.
There comes a curiosity, like.
About So that leads me to your point, actually, about the masturbation and how do you stop that from happening. I think, again, this is as Black African communities, masturbation is seen as like...
I don't think it's
do
just
it.
Black communities though. I think
Okay.
just in general, masturbation is seen as wrong. Come on, if you were to admit as a woman in public that you masturbate,
I don't know.
imagine the eyes,
I
imagine
actually-
I do think it's wrong.
Okay. Yeah. So my point is, it depends. So it depends on.
It's like just
No, just throw it out there now.
I don't even know how to respond to that one.
No,
But okay.
I have a lot of my friends, women friends, yeah, masturbate, and we have loads of conversations about, do you guys use any sex toys, whatever. I personally don't use sex toys or anything because I just I never got into it. But sorry, shouldn't be airy about my point is it's relevant in that, like, I think women are more open about admitting that they do masturbate now more than when obviously we're younger. This is as adult women where we talk about it's an age thing. But in terms of children masturbating and exploring their bodies, and that was why I talked about the Black community and African music. I think from what I've seen or heard amongst like my more like westernized white friends or whatever, it's very much a casual, he's just exploring his body. It's just there's a lot more innocence that's projected on it. It's okay. Whereas with the Black and African communities, we can't deny that there's a lot of superstition, there's a lot of religious implications as well from our many, and cultural implications about masturbation that have kind of been ingrained in our minds from a very long time, which we then project onto our children. So if our children are masturbating or see anything, it's like it would make us panic because of what our parents. Whereas I think for another westernized family or whatever, just making the clarification on the different community perceptions of masturbation. From now, growing up and whatever, I always thought masturbation was bad. I actually don't agree. I don't think it's bad. I think obviously it's bad when it's excessive and when it becomes an addiction, or when it's accompanied with things like pornography that can draw you further into the addiction. But in terms of children experimenting,
when you say children, what do you mean?
I'll say children as in you get to the age, maybe like age 7, 6, 7, 8, that age where they get to the stage where they're playing mommy and daddy games, for example, or they're like with other children and they're exploring each other's body, like, oh, you've got breasts, I've got a tail, or those sorts of types of conversation. Innocent, but it does happen amongst children, and it's just the way they learn about their body parts. It doesn't have to be
but when you say masturbation with children, do you mean...
I don't mean to the point where they're coming or anything explicit. I just mean
because it does happen with children now.
That
like maybe like 11, 12-year-olds.
Okay, so I'm not actually talking about older children, like 11, 12-year-old, because obviously their behaviors are different. Those ones are much more aware. They know about sex. So if they're doing those things, their goal is to
that's what I mean. Okay. I don't mean like a child touching themselves and learning their body. I mean actually masturbating for pleasure.
Yeah. So
you think it's wrong at 11, 12?
Yeah.
Is it ever right?
I think at any age it's wrong. That's because of my religious beliefs. But if you're talking about in terms of like exploring your body, or them, figuring out, oh, she has this, I have that, or I don't think it's wrong in that sense, learning, touching. But in terms of for pleasure to come or to have an erection, whatever, I think that's wrong.
Well, I mean, I know we say it's wrong, but
sorry to cut you off, but why?
Yeah, that was...
I mean, you don't have to go into it if you don't want to, but I'm
trying to find out a
good way to say it.
I just think... I don't think it was... For example, okay, let's take Adam and Eve, for example. Obviously, the Bible doesn't say I'm a Christian, obviously, but the Bible doesn't say everything about, in detail of what happened, but it talks about Adam and Eve. So Adam exploring the sexual parts of his body after Eve was given to him. It doesn't ever explain Adam touching himself or anything to do with, pleasuring yourself sexually. So to me, I think it's wrong because I don't want to start quoting scriptures but I just think, because for example, I want to ask, do you guys think fornication is wrong? Do you think having sex outside of marriage is wrong?
I don't think so.
Because this could go into loads of different topics, but it depends on what your religious beliefs are. But me personally, I'm a born-again Christian. I think masturbation, fornication is wrong. So this is what I actually wanted to say with regards to this topic, that although I think it's wrong, I'm aware that I have to like not cringe on the subject when it comes to explaining it to my children, or not putting it finding a better way to explain it so that a child can digest it, because just saying to a child that it's wrong, don't do that, is not going to be enough.
No.
You're going to have to, you know, find a way to break it down, explain the beliefs as to why you think it's wrong. You know, you can't just, that's wrong, don't do it. The Bible says you shouldn't do it. Or, you know, it has to be broken down. But
it has to be a conversation, not a direction.
Exactly. But yeah, I am strong in my beliefs, and yeah.
I would say I totally respect that, you know, and I'm actually also born again Christian, but I have different views on certain things. But when it comes to this point you make actually about breaking it down clearly to the children and everything, I think that's a really, you know, good point, and that everybody, despite what we believe, it's the one common thing we need to
cringe when it comes to certain things to do with sex and your body parts.
And we need to find the ways that we can
just rewind a little bit. I'm actually curious that, you know, we didn't get your opinion on that little last bit. Do you believe masturbation is wrong? Do you believe sex before marriage is wrong? And I actually want your opinion. Do you mind if I say what you do? I won't say what you do.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So I actually want your opinion, you know, as a professional medical doctor, and I want your opinion as a woman. Do you believe in? Are you Christian, Muslim?
Christian.
So as a Christian woman, I also want to know what your opinions are.
So I guess it's difficult for me. I always make this joke about I'm living in sin. So it shouldn't really be a joke, but hey, in the sense that myself and my partner, we're not married, and obviously we've got a child together, and one
another gorgeous man
on the way. But it's that thing where, like, I'm not a hypocrite, so I'm not going to say that something is wrong when I know that actually that's what I'm practicing. So I can't say, yeah, I believe fornication is wrong. No, sorry, that's what I do. And in terms of masturbation, I think it's very difficult because from the point of view of exploring yourself, yes, I get that completely, but I think the point that was made earlier is about when it gets to that point of addiction. And I think it's very difficult to kind of tie in your moral beliefs sort of based on your everyday, day-to-day with your Christian beliefs. That's always a difficult, that's always a minefield. And I think for me now, in the situation that I'm in now and how I'm living my life now, it would be very difficult for me to say that masturbation is completely wrong. And I think that's because of the times that we live in and the things that children are exposed to, and even the education system, when they introduce children to sex and explain things to them, like, we don't have control over those things as parents. Like, yes, you can take your child out of school, homeschool, and do all the rest, because I know that's what people will say. But there will still be that exposure in the environment around us, and I think it's very important to not put a bad connotation on certain things, because once you do that, then you're stepping into danger zone.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna go too much into, like, you know, what I believe and my opinions or anything, but I feel like that is definitely more my angle. I'm not really one. I just don't feel, especially with children, I feel, yes, I want to obviously train you and guide you in the way that I feel is best for you, but part of that is for you to discover the world and for you to kind of take that on in your own way and not put myself onto you. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? So I try not to put too much of a negative twist or connotation on anything. No, obviously, if it's bad for you, it's bad for you. Please don't go and do drugs. Please don't go and drink alcohol. You know, these kind of things. But I still want my children and my child, you know, right now to go out there and actually experience things and live life for herself. And
that's the thing with me. I have like very strong opinions. I'm very black and white with things, but that doesn't mean I would definitely share that with my children. But I don't think that means I'm, you know, making them think a certain way. I will suggest it to them or tell them this is what I think, and I'm not budging on it. This is what I think, but I'm also going to train them to be open-minded and I want them to go out and figure out things for themselves, because if you're training up a child, I think that is your duty to impart what you know to be right, but at the same time they're going to do what they want to do. But I don't think that means that, because I think in society now as well, there is a lot of kind of let the child decide, let the child be who they want to be, which to an extent, I think it's all about balance. I think, you know, the child has to find out things for themselves, but I don't think that means that as a parent, you should guide loosely, or you should,
No.
you know.
Not be too.
And I think that's
Yeah.
scary, because I think often you see a lot where children have gone out there and found things out for themselves, and it's not necessarily the good thing. And naturally, as a parent, you want to be the one that breaks your child into it.
Yeah,
You want to
yeah.
be the
That's
one
what I was saying before.
that
Yeah,
first tells
sometimes
them
you don't
about
have that
something.
control.
And when it comes to sort of sex and sort of going back to the topic and things like that, you want to be the first person that
Yeah.
tells your child about it, because you want your child to learn about it in a certain way, or like we've just said, you don't want them to
In a
attach
safe
negative
way as
Yeah,
well, because
that's
how
it.
they find out might be so negative.
different, yeah.
But just to, you know, only because we've run out of time.
Yeah, no,
I'm so
that's fine. No,
sorry.
it's
I'm
just-
so sorry. We have so much more to talk about in this, and actually I've got another little bit that I was going to bring in, but we've gone so much into this, and I actually do think this needs a part 2, so you ladies will have to come back.
Yeah.
You're tied in now for part 2.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for participating in the conversation, and thank you for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe, like it, send the link on to other people, do all that stuff. I'm also going to put all the handles, Instagram handles, social media accounts and things in the description box. So do have a quick look through, add, follow.
Add her as well.
Oh yeah, well yeah, you have to add me. Full lives. But no, thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I feel so cheesy, man.